Welcome to DFS Insights. I am David Geislinger, and I'm joined by my cousin, David Grant Jr. The teams up on the block are the Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is where each of us are going to be giving you 3 key players to focus on while creating each of your lineups. If you notice that the same player is selected as part of both of our 3 key plays for the game, consider taking extra note of that player, as David and I do not discuss the 3 main plays beforehand, making those same players all the more valuable. And David and I are going to give you a quick breakdown of what we like about the 3 main plays, and make sure to stay tuned till the end, where we're going to give you 2 completely free lineups.
Nice. It did hurt a little bit, say, Detroit at San Francisco instead of, Green Bay at Detroit Lions. But, not to dwell on the past, but, here we are with, looks like to be a pretty good matchup here between the Detroit and San Francisco's, even though apparently Vegas doesn't think so. They got 49ers 7.5 favorites, which is awkward, as the Ravens are only the 3.5 favorites over there against Kansas City. But, neither here nor there. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup. We got an over-under of sitting at about 51 points. So, at least Vegas sees it as a high-scoring game. So that makes for a more interesting DFS, at least. So we have our choice between plenty of skill players in this matchup, and we'll break down our 3 here coming up. But to start it off, 49ers defense, it's top 3 easy, top 5 all around. Detroit Lions, first overall ranked defense against the run and 32nd against the pass. I think they're like 30th or 32nd. They're bottom tier. Like, they've literally been described as a sieve. So that's pretty bad when your secondary is described as a sieve there. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think Detroit's going to need to get their run game going. They have those 2 dynamic running backs. And 49ers are a little bit weaker on the run, or at least they have been. Recently, they just gave up 100 yards to Aaron Jones in that matchup. So, this Detroit needs to
first
attack them.
First time in 50 games. Time in 50 games that we'd done that.
But they still did. So, I think, with that, Lions are, unfortunately, for their sake, they play terrible in the outdoors. So they're actually averaging 33 points indoors and only 19 points outdoors. And where is this played? Outdoors. Santa Clara. Fortunate, I guess, for them. It's supposed to be clear, no rain, perfect day over there in the Bay Area, Santa Clara. So, I think the Lions are going to need to, basically play a perfect game, and they're going to need to they need to get turnovers. I'll emphasize that again. Green Bay literally dropped 2 turnovers. That would have been huge for them. They need to get in Purdy's mind, get those turnovers, and cause him to start thinking about things. Lions have turned over at 0 times in their last 2 playoff games, so they need to keep that up. 49ers had 0 sacks against Green Bay and only 4 tackles for losses, while Lions sacked Tampa Bay 4 times and 4 tackles for losses there. So, they need to pressure them. 49ers, they need to do what they do, score. They need Christian McCaffrey to get through that. Number 1 ranked run defense, to get that run game going, and then that will make Purdy's job a lot easier with the pass game, I think. Easier than it already will be with the terrible secondary. So But yeah, I mean, this is your team, so I mean, what do you kind of got going here?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think the fact that we beat the way that we came out and beat Green Bay, we saw what Green Bay did to Detroit on Thanksgiving. Was that Thanksgiving or was that
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that was Thanksgiving. And no one saw that coming really, but the fact that Green Bay was able to come out and do that to Detroit, and San Francisco just went through a gritty win through you guys. I think I know you can't just say do math like that and go, oh well, this team beat this team, so obviously the Niners should win or something. But we're at home. The Niners haven't lost a home playoff game, I believe, in like the last, I think we're 15-0. It's somewhere around there. The Detroit Lions overall are 0 and I believe 11 against us. And their last away playoff win was against the 49ers, I believe, in 1955.
And that was probably their last playoff game as well, besides this year.
I know, right?
I know,
pretty much. I mean, pretty much. So, the good news is we kind of already have the game tape on Goff, and I think we're going to be able to give him a pretty hard time, even though they do have a great defensive front that are keeping people from getting to the quarterback. However, Tampa Bay, it looks like Tampa Bay actually had 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, and that's Tampa Bay. And even though they pulled that game out 31-23, if you're going to give the 49ers 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, well, you already know what's going to happen. So I really think everyone's trying to put this on Brock Purdy and put this on, what's the weakest link at the Niners? Brock Purdy is what they're trying to say, which isn't true. If anything, our defense needs to come out and show why we are a top 3 defense. And I think if we're able to accomplish that this game could get out of hand. The way I thought the Green Bay Niner game would get out of hand and not be quite as close as what even Vegas is saying. So yeah, I'm excited.
I just wish obviously I can peer into the future and see what Jared Goff I'm going to get. Is it going to be
I know, right?
Is it going to be 4 touchdown Jared Goff or 4 turnover Jared Goff? Key injuries that I'm looking at here. Deebo Samuels, yes, I understand he's not on the injury report anymore. However, he literally went from being 50-50 2 days ago to full participant. I know all the MRIs and everything came back, but my concern with that is, and we spoke about it earlier, is he's just a beast. He likes the contact. I don't know. I mean, he's going to play. That's his mentality. I understand that. But, if you're thinking you're going to win this and then you're assuming you're going to play the Ravens in a brawl there, do you kind of limit him in snap count? So I'm a little nervous there with that. And obviously, if the 49ers do come out and just strike fast, a lot, is he going to be the first one that sits? Because that's huge when it comes to DFS. If he's not on the field, he ain't getting you points there. And then Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to raise the point. I know he hasn't been on the injury report, but during that Green Bay game, he was literally on the sidelines every play after every thing, getting a professional massage on his calf or his thigh, or he's sitting there with that massage gun. So a little worried there, just by the sheer volume that he does get. Just keep an eye on that. If they are running him a lot against this tough run defense, is he at risk there? I just wanted to bring that up just to keep an eye out on that. But other than that, We can move over to see what three people, probably three 49ers, are going to win you that 100K to first place trophy here.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Mr. Irrelevant, apparently, Mr. Brock Purdy. He's going up against basic the Detroit Lions have given up just ridiculous amounts of yards to their opponent. Like the last I don't know, I believe 4 games, somewhere in there, they've given over 350 yards to the quarterback, or I'm sorry, to the offense. And they did it. If Baker Mayfield, who everyone, he was just a rent a QB, he was on the Niners for half a second. It's like, if he can go out there and hang, what he did on them, I'm definitely confident that Brock Purdy can go out and do the same thing with all the extra weapons that we have. It's CMC is obviously the heart of the team. It's knowing Detroit is, I believe, number 1 against the run. This is still, McCaffrey's just a different type of back. He had 2,000 all-purpose yards between his pass catching and his running. He can do both. A lot of our schemes have him doing both. But nonetheless, Brock Purdy, all he has to do, don't turn the ball over. What is Brock Purdy known for? Not turning the ball over. Yes, did Green Bay almost have a pick 6? Did Green Bay almost possibly have 2 pick 6s? Yeah, but this isn't a game of if they would have or if they almost did this. I'm talking about what actually happened. And Brock Purdy didn't turn the ball over. Do you know who I see turn the ball over quite a bit, whether it's fumbling it or throwing it away? Is Jared Goff. So when I'm seeing all these other analysts picking Jared Goff as the better quarterback, I don't even know how these guys have jobs. Oh, I'm sorry. They have jobs because they're ex-NFL players, but they need to check themselves on being analysts, because that's just absolutely insanity when you're trying to tell me Jared Goff is a better football player than Brock Purdy. And when you're going to tell me about all the weapons that are around him, look at all the weapons that are around Jared Goff. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got Gibbs, who's arguably, even though he's a rookie, it's clear he's going to be a monster and someone to deal with in the future. Montgomery is also the 1-2 punch they have there at running back is arguably the best in the league. As far as a 1-2 punch, like McCaffrey's number 1 in the league, but they have a 1-2 that's just unstoppable. Laporta has flashes of being like a Kittle or name your other top 5,
He's
a Kelsey.
a rookie too.
And he's also a rookie. Yeah. So it's like, even though they're rookies, these dudes, Detroit has built, getting Dan Campbell in there, they've built the right mindset, a new culture and all that. And all these young cats are all buying into it. And, offensively, Goff is shining in a way because of all these offensive weapons. Purdy is even... Brock Purdy is exceeding all of that. I mean, he, like I mentioned in the other pod, he's finished in the top 5 in the MVP race. Everyone knows. I mean, people know these stats, man, and everyone just seems to just go, it's not because of him, as if they could step in there and do the same thing. It's baffling, dude. This guy just can't win. But either way, sorry for the tangent. Brock Purdy, he's going to throw at least 3 touchdowns. You can take that to the bank. He's throwing at least 3 touchdowns. I don't know how many yards he's going to have, but he's going to have 3 passing TDs and no interceptions. And that leads me to my next play. Ayuk is due for another big game, or I'm talking big game, like he's like he's had before, like 150 yards, one of those, 24, 21 fantasy point games, 114 yards, 7 to 8 targets against Washington. Against Philadelphia, he had 5 catches on 7 targets and a touchdown, 46 yards. Seattle, um, 50 yards and a touchdown. Tampa Bay, 156 yards, 5 of 6 with a touchdown. I think it's going to be a mixture of him and Debo. I think going Debo over Ayuk this week, seeing that Debo is 12.5. I think that might have been what he was last week, because I remember them only being about 500 apart. I don't see us putting Debo on the field like if he wasn't ready. And again, we have to win this game to get to the next game. I think Debo's ownership is going to be significantly lower than not only last week, but than what it would be have projected to been for this week, because no one wants to play a guy with that type of injury where it's an unknown. But that's where you can get your edge, especially on a thing like Fanduel here, where you get 1 MVP and 4 flex. It's not like there's any other multipliers. So I'm kind of like in between Samuel and Ayuk. So definitely be playing Samuel. Don't be afraid of the injury stuff. I could still see him getting us a touchdown, possibly a 2 touchdown game, something like that, and being the reason that we also win the game. That'll lead me over to my third play. And my third play, I'm kind of on the fence. I'll go ahead and go with Detroit, since I do think Detroit is going to be hanging around, and I'm going to have to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just don't, the only reason that Green Bay scored over 100 rushing yards against us was the one lucky play that Aaron Jones got a 53-yard run. And Aaron Jones not got the 53-yard run, we've had 50 straight games of holding rushers under 100 yards, and that is going to be what our goal is. We want to make the other guys beat us. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you just can't argue with this dude's stats and his targets. So, since Christmas, basically 14 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets, 14 targets. Again, since Christmas, or I'll even go a game before that, with the 9 targets, he had 112 yards and a touchdown, 106 yards and a touchdown, 90 yards and a touchdown, 144 yards and a touchdown, 110 yards, no touchdown, but still 110 yards. And then against Tampa, 8 catches on 14 targets, 17 yards, and a touchdown. So, with them, I think they're going to be down in the 4th. They're going to be down late, and their only hope is going to be St. Brown at that point. And I could see Jared Goff forcing the ball and our defense coming through with some picks, just like we did late against Green Bay. And yeah, so really, I got Brock Purdy number 1. I'm going to go Debo Samuel 2A with Ayuk at 2B. And then at number 3, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. If this game is going to be, they're going to score some points on us. And if they do, it's going to come from him. So that's what I got. I'm definitely curious to hear your 3 picks and what you got going on behind it.
Yeah, about the Jones only getting 100 yards over 49ers because of that one run. I'm not interested in what could haves and would have happened. Remember, I quote you on the could haves, would haves of things. So, yeah, it did happen. So, yeah, I mean, if 49ers didn't score any touchdowns or any points, Green Bay would have won. So, but anyways, starting with Brock Purdy. Yeah, I don't know why people are saying he's a bad quarterback. I do think he is, a good quarterback. I'm more interested. I think people are maybe hoping people are phrasing it wrong. I'll be kind of interested to see in a year or two, will 49ers commit $50 million to this guy? That's going to be basically the determining factor. When they need to pay him $50 million, but then they also have to pay Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. Like, are they going to be willing to do that when they don't have the weapons they have? So, I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. He's obviously shown it, and the stats obviously don't lie. Is it the scheme he's in? Sure, that plays a part of it. But at the same time, like, if he wasn't good, the scheme doesn't really matter. So, I don't know. Whatever. Let people think. And if he gets to the Super Bowl and wins it, like, are people still gonna say something? Yeah, but in reality, who really cares? They're just mad probably now because they're sitting and analyzing instead of playing now. So, it is what it is. Obviously, he doesn't care because he keeps winning. So. And with that, I'm gonna go back to Ayuk because that's my first pick that I'm gonna mention here. Yeah, I think he's due at 12K. That he's projected only 13 points. I'm not a big fan of that. I typically like to see at least a 1.5 point return on my salary at least to kind of justify it, especially these players. And it's just unfortunately just 49ers just have too many weapons. I mean, obviously it's not a bad thing, but it's a kind of a bad thing for DFS where it makes it makes the pot of who's going to get the ball very hard to kind of determine there. As we mentioned previous, Detroit's secondary is more holy than the Pope. They're actually being compared to a sieve. If you're unfamiliar with that is, just Google it. It's the little wire mesh thing that you sieve flour through and it becomes really fine. So it's very holy. But yeah, it's terrible. They got lit up by Evans. I think Chris Evans had like 150 yards against them last week. Lions obviously still pulled it out, but Ayuk did start going there in the fourth quarter. I think he was like a big primary. I think pretty much all his catches and for the most part came in that fourth quarter. And got that last drive for the 49ers going. So I think with the secondary, he shouldn't have a problem. I mean, in all honesty, I was hoping Samuels didn't play because then obviously Ayuk's stock goes up. But since Debo's playing, I still think he's a pretty valuable target with the secondary. For Lions have given up 33.2 fantasy points to receivers. That's combined for all receivers that they go against. And for the last 17 games, so basically all season, they're averaging 33 fantasy points towards receivers. So that would be broken up between Ayuk, Samuel, probably Juwan Jennings there. And maybe I don't know if to be honest, I don't know if that stat includes tight ends, but they're Kittle in there as well. And they've given up 22 touchdowns. So bad.
Bad.
So I think they do need to get the run game going. Christian McCaffrey does need to get going, and that will give Purdy a little bit of extra time because with that pass rush of the Lions, he's going to need to get them thinking about that run so he can buy a little bit more time in the pocket to get those throws off. With that, going over to my second, I'm going to switch it up here, and I'll actually switch my second, and he was my third, but whatever, it's all the same. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like you mentioned, clearly looking at his stats, I mean, just game log troll, this dude's crazy good. Obviously he's 14.5. I think he's the third highest on the slate. 14.5. So playoffs, he's averaging 16 fantasy points, 93.5 yards catching in the playoff games. Last 6 games, he's averaging 19.75 fantasy points. and he's had a touchdown in all of the last games with the exception of one, and he's averaging 106.5 yards. That's insane.
I mean, beast. Yeah.
If St. Brown catches 7 catches, he'll be among the top elite receivers to catch at least 7 catches in 3 consecutive playoff games.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's pretty crazy what he's doing. He is projected 16.9, 17 fantasy points, basically his average here. I don't mind that because he does have his ceiling is pretty crazy compared to that. I think the Lions will probably be behind, so they will be throwing it. But I think, going on to my third pick here, I think it's going to be 3A and 3B like you kind of did. The David Montgomery Gibbs combo, they need. 49ers don't have as good as run defense as they do their secondary / linebackers. So Detroit needs to get that ball going. Montgomery and Gibbs can do it. 49ers are even weaker at the runs in between the tackles. Their outside players, Bosa, Chase Young, are actually pretty good. So I think Gibbs is the more, Jones kind of guy, where he does, the outside runner, Vice, that straight up the middle, which would give me, I'm comparing it to Green Bay, but it'd be like A.J. Dillon type of back. There, I think is also for at least choosing who you're going to go, Montgomery or Gibbs. Gibbs sitting here at 13K. That, to me, obviously is probably what people are going to lean on because, you look at it, his fantasy points are, quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't like the amount of rushes he gets. He does do pretty good production, 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He is part of the target there. We had 9 rushes in the red zone, 2 touchdowns. However, when you come over here to Montgomery, who's 3K cheaper, he's not as, he does get more touches, so obviously that's good. He just doesn't seem to get the yards. He does have 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He's sometimes in the passing game, but that's, I think, more of a Gibbs role. And he's had 12 rushes inside the red zone. He's gotten 3 touchdowns. So I think it's definitely going to come down to a salary thing, where I think Gibbs will probably be the higher ownership just because a lot of people, like I said, correlate points with salary and things of that nature. But I'm definitely going to have both of them in. The lineup is just based on my other construction on who I would choose. Because I still think they're both viable there. So,
nice.
With that, I think those are my plays. Oh, Montgomery's projected 11, where Gibbs is projected 12.8. And like I said, 12.8 for 13K or 11 for 10. So if you're just going solely based on projections, obviously Montgomery's the better of the deal there. So with that, what do you think of the picks there? Obviously we had 2 of the same ones, but what do you think about the running back there?
You're totally right. If Detroit's going to have a chance in this ball game, it's going to be because they established the run with Gibbs and Montgomery. So that will open up that'll open up them being able to get the ball to St. Brown and him actually getting some type of man coverage without help or something like that. So they do like to establish the run and then run a play action. And if our defender gets just one step wrong, Amon-Ra's gone. So I do see this being a high scoring game now that we know that the weather's going to be great. We don't have any excuse, no wet ball, no this, that, or the other. So I'm actually really looking forward to this game for sure.
Brock Purdy's hand size isn't going to be questioned.
Dude, I won't see Brock.
Weird, man.
I'm not going to see him coming out with the glove.
Yeah.
You're going to start with the glove that I've never even seen him wear freaking glove.
Yeah,
And
no,
when I saw that at the beginning, bro, I was already scared. I was like, this dude's coming out with the glove. I haven't seen Purdy throw with the glove. What's going on?
Yeah.
Trust me, I was not happy.
All right, with that, well, who do you think's gonna take over that MVP slot here? And then who do you think's gonna win? And then your score prediction here.
So, all right, so I'm gonna preface this with you know, I'm going. This is a non-McCaffrey deal. He's 17.5. Either way, he could still hit value. He's still the spearhead of our offense. And if we're up, especially if we're up late, he's going to be in the ball game, and he could even score 2 touchdowns late. So this is kind of putting him on his own area. So assuming it's not him, I got Brock Purdy at MVP. We have enough weapons for him to air it out too. I could see him throwing a touchdown to Debo, 1 to Debo, 1 to Ayuk, and 1 to Kittle, to where, like you mentioned, if we're up late in the fourth, there's no reason to have Debo in there, so his snap count could be a little bit lower. And if that's the case, and that's what I'm hoping for as a Niner fan, and even taking the fandom out of it, I could still see that happening. I mean, we are favored by more than a touchdown. So I got Brock Purdy, MVP, and then I got the game. 49ers winning this one 38-24. I see us winning by 2 touchdowns. I do think it might be a little gritty early. And if Detroit doesn't keep this early close, they are in their season. They're turning into pumpkins. We're going on to face the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. So that's my take. I'm sure you got a little bit of a different one, and I know what you're hoping for. But I'd love to hear who's your MVP and what do you got the score being?
No, I mean, whoever wins, it doesn't really matter with any team really. No team winning is gonna put money in my pockets. So I'm going for the money with the DFS. So I don't really care who wins as long as my fantasy team wins. So with I mean, as sad as it is for Green Bay to lose, obviously I would like to see them go. But if they put money in my pocket against Dallas, so you know it is what it is.
Yeah.
But as far as MVP, I think I'm gonna say I think Jared Goff is gonna get it.
Stop it, bro. Stop it.
I'm just going to say
Stop
it
it.
because even if
Stop
I
it.
think the 49ers are going to win, he's going to be playing from behind. And
Right.
we all know garbage time touchdowns do happen.
That's fair.
And, you know, then obviously the garbage time yards, all that stuff adds up. So if I do think he's going to get 3 or 4 touchdowns, that's clearly MVP. I think Brock Purdy will have probably 2, 3, but I think they'll sneak in a run here and there. But I also think at the same time, Detroit should get runs. I don't know, but I think Goff will take it just because I think they're going to probably be playing from behind. Who I want to be MVP is David Montgomery, just to have one of those Aaron Jones 3 touchdown games to seal it, obviously. But I'm going to go Goff with the help of some garbage time. There.
So not because he's the better quarterback than Purdy, it's that because they're going to be getting whooped so bad with the garbage time, you're hoping
it doesn't matter who's better, it's who has the most points at the end of the day. So.
Okay, but here's the other thing though. In order for someone to get garbage time, that means the superstars have to have hit. So the only reason is because the scores we're already going to have our 40, 45 points.
But if at the same time, if Christian McCaffrey runs for 5 touchdowns and Purdy has none, he's going to have 4 points.
Well, yeah, that's fair. So then,
it depends on how you script the game.
How the garbage time happens.
Yeah,
this is true.
But like I said, Detroit can win and have Montgomery with 3 touchdowns and freaking Gibbs with 2 and Jared Goff with 0 passing, and he would have 10 points. I mean, so it doesn't matter who's the better player. It's this who gets the most points. It's not necessarily who is the better player. It's just who is utilized the most in this situation. It doesn't mean they're necessarily. I'm not saying, oh, Jared Goff's MVP of this single game. That means he's better than Purdy. No. He's just going to get more fantasy points. And if they lose the game, well, then obviously Purdy would technically be the better of the two quarterbacks in that scenario. So, with that, saying that I'm going to have the 49ers win, yeah, I think they're going to win probably 31-24. I think it's going to still be a high-scoring game. I don't think they'll cover the spread, and that's just due to the half point. But, yeah, 31-24, 49ers will take it. As much as I want to see the Lions do it, because I want to see Taylor Swift and Eminem in the Super Bowl. But I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You NFL fan, you.
Yeah. And with that, let's head over here to our lineups, give you guys what you've been waiting for. Your insight does matter, so make sure you do drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts on our key players in this matchup. Also on our lineups, who are your top picks, and which players do you think might be those game changers? We would like to hear who you think, so that way you can start engaging with us and we can give you our thoughts on that. Feel free to ask any questions about players that we haven't covered. We do obviously cover research basically the whole game. However, we are trying to keep these a little bit shorter, so we only cover 3 and 3, or I guess in this case 4 and 4. But yeah, we like to discuss your thoughts and everything. So also make sure you hit that like, subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because if there is any changes or anything, we do post that into the comments. And with that, hope to see you up on that leaderboard. And with that, David, take us away.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, let's go 49ers. Obviously, make sure you guys put CMC into your lineups. I know it says that Detroit's number 1 against the run. Either way, once we get up early and they have to stop our pass attack is going to open up the run, because they're going to be so afraid of having to cover our guys. It's going to open up CMC. CMC runs people over anyway, and he's part of our passing attack. So don't ignore him just because he's 17.5. And one last little tidbit. On 11-19, the 49ers did play Tampa Bay. Brock Purdy went 21 of 25 for 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and no fumbles. And Mr. Jared Goff played them twice, where he went, this past game, he went 30 for 43, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. And when he played him the other time, he went 30 of 44 for 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. So just letting you all know what's up. Purdy actually hit his over the 300-yard mark. I could have used that in my prize picks last week, but that's neither here nor there. Neither one of these teams are playing Tampa Bay. They're playing each other. I think Detroit's in for a wake-up call. Yes, they have an amazing offense. They're a great young team, just like similar to the Green Bay Packers. But they're coming into our house. We don't lose at our house, and I'm just looking forward to a Niner victory, and I hope to see the Niners owe Kansas City and Baltimore. They beat us both in our last time, our Super Bowl appearances. So I really don't care who we play. We owe both of them. And yeah, man, everyone have a great weekend. We got other videos here floating around. Make sure to check out our video on the Baltimore-Kansas City game. And then during that little break between now and the Super Bowl, we're going to be dropping a bunch of NBA videos. So just make sure to be on the lookout for that. Just DFS Insights. We're here to stay. So look forward to seeing everyone at the top of the leaderboard. Wish everyone a great weekend and make that money.